Deception number 12. We're still busy with deception number 12 because it's still about Paul. This will be a two-part discussion, and we are talking about covenant and circumcision. It is important to understand that when Yahuah makes a covenant with his children, it is a covenant forever, and that no new covenant can override or annul the previous covenant. Paul is quite clear on this. We read Galatians 3 verse 15. Brothers, as a man I say it, a covenant, even though it is man's, yet if it is confirmed, no one sets it aside or adds to it. But the promises were spoken to Abraham and to his seed. He does not say, and to seeds, as of many, but as of one, and to your seed. Now this I say, Torah that came 430 years later does not annul a covenant previously confirmed by Elohim in Messiah, so as to do away with the promise. So that is pretty clear. So now we have to look at the covenant Yahuah made with Avram, the covenant Yahuah made with Moshe, and how that affects our lives and our belief. Now, there's something that we need to look at. I've said it in my previous videos, that Yahuah's desire for us is to be perfect before him, because that is the only way that he can dwell in us. By our desire to obey and to love him, that will give us the opportunity to receive his spirit in us, and the power of his spirit is what allows us to overcome sin and temptation. So let's look at Genesis 17 verse 1. Yahuah said this to Avram. And it came to be when Avram was 99 years old that Yahuah appeared to Avram and said to him, I am El Shaddai, walk before me and be perfect. Yahushua said the following to Moshe and the Israelites in Deuteronomy 18:13. Be perfect before Yahuah your Elohim. Yahushua said similar words to that effect to us. Matthew 5:48, after he taught the Torah, he said, therefore be perfect as your Father in the heavens is perfect. Shaul taught no different to that. In Colossians 1 verse 28 he says, whom we announce, warning every man and teaching every man in all wisdom, in order to present every man perfect in Messiah Yahushua. So that is pretty clear that we most certainly can live a life without sin. So how do we achieve this? Yahushua said in John 14:15, you've heard this many times before, one of my favorites. If you love me, you shall guard my commands. The opposite will then obviously also apply. If you don't love him, you won't obey his commands. And this leaves the Christian in a bit awkward position, because they want to claim to love their Messiah, yet they do not keep the commandments. So what is the outcome if you love Yahuah and you guard his commands? Yahushua says in John 14 verse 23, Yahushua answered him, if anyone loves me, he shall guard my word, and my Father shall love him, and we shall come and make our stay with him. How awesome is that? By obeying his commandments, by loving him, we don't just receive the spirit of Yahushua, which is amazing on its own, we receive the spirit of our Father as well. And that is just crazy wonderful. And that is why Yahuah wants to make covenants with his people. You see, if he makes a covenant with you, it is something that he commits to, and he wants to protect his people. And what Yahuah is wanting with this being perfect for us is to restore the relationship that he had with Adam and Yahuah pre-fall, which is a possibility because Yahuah says we are to be perfect, and if we love and obey him, he dwells in us. That would be relationship restored. So now let's look at a little bit more depth into the covenants and how it affects us. Genesis 17. Circumcision is the sign of the everlasting covenant that Yahuah made with Avram and Israel. He said, we read in Genesis 17 verse 10 and 11, "This is my covenant with you, God, between me and you and your seed after you. Every male child among you is to be circumcised. And you shall circumcise the flesh of your foreskin, and it shall become a sign of the covenant between me and you." It is a sign of the covenant. Very important. Now, if we look at Exodus 12, where we see the importance of circumcision for us, who are long after Avram. Yahuah has got a redemption plan for his people. And his redemption plan is his scriptural feasts. And the opening festival is the Passover. And the Passover is crucial because that is where Yahushua, his blood, came to allow us and to make us able to be saved and overcome sin. Now, listen very carefully. Exodus 12 verse 43. "And Yahuah said to Moshe and Aaron, This is the law of the Pesach. No son of a stranger is to eat of it." So this is a law. Verse 48. "And when a stranger sojourns with you and shall perform the Pesach to Yahuah, let all his males be circumcised. And then let him come near and perform it. And he shall be as a native of the land. But let no uncircumcised eat of it." Very important. If you are a sojourner or a stranger that wants to become part of Yahuah's people, you can. But you have to become circumcised, you have to obey the Torah, and you have to partake in the Passover then. But you cannot while you're uncircumcised. And Yahuah confirms this in verse 49. He says, "There is one Torah for the native born and for the stranger who sojourns among you." There is no law for the Christians and a law for the Jews. There is one law for all who believe in Yahuah. So the Torah of Yahuah for his people also have a sign. And we read in Exodus 31 verse 16 and 17. "And the children of Israel shall guard the Sabbath to perform the Sabbath throughout their generations as an everlasting covenant. Between me and the children of Israel it is a sign forever. For in 6 days Yahuah made the heavens and the earth, and on the 7th day he rested and was refreshed." Few words here. Guard the Sabbath. Perform the Sabbath throughout your generations as an everlasting covenant. That suggests this covenant is still going. It is a sign forever. So we have now circumcision as a sign forever that we will be the people of Yahuah. We've got circumcision as a sign for the law of the Passover, which opens us the opportunity to enter into his redemption plan, and the Sabbath to be the sign of the everlasting covenant of the Torah that we have to keep. We have to love him and we have to obey. So, What does this conclude to? This concludes that the redemption plan we require for salvation. And for salvation, we have to participate in the redemption plan, in particular the law of the Passover, which requires circumcision. So this topic is not to be taken lightly. Avram was circumcised at the age of 99. His son Ishmael was circumcised at 13 years of age. I don't take it lightly. And when I speak with you, I understand for those who are not circumcised, because I was circumcised as an adult, and my son was circumcised at the age of 8 years. Both for us was very difficult. It is sometimes embarrassing or awkward. But let me put it to you this way. If you are being diagnosed with a disease or something that will cause you to die within the next few months, but your doctor tells you, listen, we can do an operation that will reverse it around and you will live a normal life. Will you take that operation? I'm sure you will. Well, this one is way more important, because this is not just for your earthly life. This is for eternity. A requirement to be circumcised in order that you can partake to become a Israelite, overcome sin and death, and the door will be open to eternal life. I recommend you take it seriously. I pray to Yahuah. Wait for an answer. Don't just jump and do something. Shalom. Till next time.